What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist here with
Gersh1.
And today we're back at it, answering more questions from you guys in another episode of For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put a question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. Also, because this is a new channel and we have not been monetized, we want to give a special thanks to all of our patrons that have been supporting us through thick and thin since back in the day on the One Mind Syndicate page. And we are giving a special thanks by giving away a Land Raider. You can build it as a Redeemer, a Crusader, or a Redemptor. Yeah. So the way that you win is just being a Patreon supporter. If you are a Patreon supporter, we will announce the winner next Monday. We've done this 4 times. We're going to do this 4 times this month. The last 2 winners have already been announced. Thank you guys so much for supporting us.
Yeah, so again, guys, thanks for being longtime supporters, or if this is your first time watching, hey, you might just win the Land Raider.
Yeah.
And now let's jump into the question of the day. This one is by none other than
Angel Warrior 28. So Angel Warrior 28 asks, which is the most hated type of 40K player in the world?
We've been to a couple of GW stores, and I feel like time and time again, this person just takes away the fun out of the game, and it's like the rules lawyer. The person who's like, you can't do that, or you moved your models an inch too much, or how are you able to do this? Like, let me read your codex, let me see what you're doing. Like, bro, like, I'm just here to play a game. I'm here. Obviously, we want to play the game correctly, and we don't want to like outright cheat. But like, if you feel that you're questioning everything the other person is doing, like, it's like, oh man, like, just give me a second to just breathe. Like, yes, I know in 9th edition it was this, and it changed to this in 10th edition, but like, come on.
Yeah, and we have a rules lawyer within our group. Docile creature. He's pretty cool. So there's not like super there is no such thing as a bad player in 40K, I should say. Because even the rules lawyer, you kind of need him, especially when those like situations come up where you're like, well, what do I do? You have to ask him. But ultimately, I think it's the people that nitpick.
Right, yeah. If you're going, like, rules lawyers are cool and everything, but I'm saying if you're going to the point where you're questioning everything, where you're like, judge, like, come on.
What is one of the most annoying things that the rule lawyer in our group has done? Because for me, it's whenever I would do like the weird boy, the jump. So my orcs would basically go from one part of the field to the other. He would like push to make sure that they were 9 inches away, 9 inches, right? Mm-hmm. When in reality, like, I'm going to charge right away. So we know and we understand that it's 9 inches. You pushing my orcs back doesn't really mean much, because whether they're 8 inches or 9 inches, I'm still going to count the 8-inch charge.
Right.
Or the 9-inch
charge. The 9-inch charge, yeah. We know what you need to charge. So it's like, if they're a little messed up, like, I'm going to move them in like 2 seconds anyway once I get the charge off. But if I don't, then I'll fix them.
That's the most annoying thing that I've experienced.
Which I get it, because you could be like, oh, what if you forget to fix them? Now they're an inch, and that 1 inch could make a huge difference. But at the same time, like, if they get in, it doesn't really matter.
Right. What about you?
I don't think I have anything like gripey like that. It's just like when it gets to the point that they're like yelling at you, like, come on.
So you're not gonna say the times that you've tried to put a dreadnought into a building?
Oh,
the second floor of a building.
I feel like that should be a thing.
Yeah.
But rule of cool wins, right?
Yeah. Well, no, not for the rules lawyer.
Not for the rules lawyer, yeah.
Yeah, the rule of cool is not a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I feel that for me, the player that is the most annoying, or the most like, or the worst player, if I had to choose one, was the one that's not prepared.
Yeah.
I think it's really annoying when, like, we say, we're going to meet up at 2 p.m., everybody show up, have your list ready, and the dude doesn't have the list ready. So we have to wait an entire hour for him to figure out what he's bringing, and then deploy. And then while he's deploying, he's still kind of like wishy-washy on whether I should put that thing down or not. Because the thing about 40K is that it is time-consuming. Mm-hmm. Super, super time-consuming. Mm-hmm. So if you are not prepped and you show up to a game,
Yeah.
you're going to prolong it like a couple hours.
Yeah, that's definitely annoying, especially when like you want to get this game done and you know it's going to take a couple hours, and then it's like, well, I did all my work, why couldn't you have been ready?
Yeah.
There is another player that I know a lot of people are like lenient on, but I feel like, come on. And that is the person who proxies everything.
Oh, yeah.
To the point of like, well, it's not even a model. You're using pennies. You're using ripped up pieces of paper. Like, at least try and get something that looks somewhat reasonable.
What's interesting about our group is that we're very like lenient, like you said. Just wargamers in general are very much like conflict avert. And I think that when a player comes up and he's like, I'm going to proxy this model for this model, regardless of the base size, we still go, okay. And I think that kind of kills it.
Yeah. I know back in the day, there was a Tyranid player who used a dragon statue as like a swarm lord or something like that.
Yeah.
Like that, I think that's pushing it, because like, is it the same height? Is it the same base size? Like, what about the wings?
Even if it is, I think that there was always like a hint of like, that's just something that you would, like that's something you would buy at the dollar store that you would put down. So I think that was always like same thing. Like it would always make me feel weird.
Yeah.
But then I would feel bad because his explanation was like, oh, my dad gave this to me. And his dad had passed away. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I was about to say that too. So, but that's like the only thing he proxied though. Everything else was the same.
Yeah.
And then recently, I know one thing that our play group has kind of been on the same board is to have fully painted minis.
Yeah.
No more gray, no more half painted. Like, let's get our shit together and actually play this game and make it look as badass as it does in our minds.
Even though that's hard, especially when you're dealing with bases, because like basing is a thing. And sometimes I look at my bases, I'm like, oh, these bases are shit. But that's because it's like I know that there's a rule that we need to show up with nice bases. And by nice, it just means painted. So I would do like a black undercoat and then a dry brush of gray, and that's it. And I think to myself, yeah, it's pretty shitty.
For me, I never cared much about basing. Like, I think like the model is like the main focus and like the base is just whatever. Because like the base is never going to match the board.
True.
9 times out of 10, like, what if your bases are like Marsy, sand terrain, and you're playing on like an ice board or a snowy board? It's like, it's not going to fit anyway.
Yeah. I don't know why Games Workshop didn't invest in just creating like the transparent ones that we have for flying stuff.
Yeah. Which, that'd be interesting if it was just those little plasticky transparent ones.
Even though I think that's gone, because with, what are the the Primaris Space Marines that fly?
No, they still have those.
No?
Or
Like,
the curvy thing.
Yeah.
That makes them look like they're flying.
well, the curvy thing, yeah, but the
they're
bottom
still on
base,
bases.
Yeah, the base is black. Back in the day, they used to have clear ones.
Like the Tau drones were all clear.
Or the Orc Def Coptus. But yeah.
And now some units don't even have bases.
Yeah.
I think there's a few like tanks that don't.
Well, that's also been a thing since the beginning, too, though. Because I remember the Rhino doesn't have a base.
Oh yeah, Land Raiders don't have bases.
Yeah.
But then isn't the Primaris tank, the Repulsor, isn't that on a base?
That isn't a base.
Because it's technically levitating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if they do it, though, because they want you to, like,
Pivot.
the illusion of it
Yeah.
levitating. So, But yeah. Next question comes from FR5QP. Would you guys do a reaction video to the Raptors animation? I'd love to know your thoughts on it. So we watched it. We're not going to do a reaction video, but we can give our input on it.
Yeah. One thing I noticed right off the bat is that the Raptors have this aesthetic that I feel just a lot of people are drawn into. The whole urban camouflage, like almost like mimicking like the military from like nowadays.
Yeah.
I feel a lot of people really like that type of aesthetic for the Space Marines, which I guess it kind of fits because they were fighting in like a foresty area. And right off the bat, it's very dark. It's very depressing. You see the guardsmen being all strung up and torn to pieces.
I do think that the cool thing about Space Marines is that each chapter is different. So the Raptors might be sympathetic towards humanity because there's a scene in the beginning when a Raptor is like killing the humans that are basically like strung up because the Dark Eldar are killing them. A Space Marine would never do that. Like a normal Space Marine would not do that, but maybe the Raptors or the Salamanders would kind of like be like, okay, so we're gonna kill these.
Put them out of their misery.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
When like I feel any other chapter would just be like, I'm not wasting the bolter shells on them.
Exactly, yeah, because of what a bolter is, right? It's a basic little grenade. And then the other thing that I didn't like was, there's a moment where a Dark Eldar jumps down to like try to kill a Space Marine, and the Space Marine just grabs the leg and then kills it. I didn't like that. So like the whole point of Eldar is that they move at different speeds, and they're just way faster than human reflexes can react to. So for them to be just grabbed and then like ripped apart, I don't know. I just felt that was weird.
Yeah, and I felt like the weaponry of the Eldar didn't really do much. It's like there's a point where like there's a Space Marine getting like shot up by 3 different ones, and like the armor. Oh, well, maybe I don't know. Maybe the armor was protecting them, but like I don't know. I felt like they should have been doing more damage.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was one of the special weapons was like slicing them in half.
Cut them in half. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always cool to see a Space Marine use a sniper.
Yeah.
Regardless of does it make sense in this scenario, but yeah, snipers are always badass. And then at the very end, it's almost like a suicide attempt by the Space Marine where he challenges out the main, what are they called? Archons?
It seems like an Archon. Yeah.
So he's challenging the Archon, and in my head, I'm like, this Archon has hundreds of years of experience. He's faster. He's better with a blade. Like, Space Marine has no chance unless he catches him off guard. And that's when, like, the reinforcements come in and just, like, tear him apart.
It was all a ruse to kill him. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think because Games Workshop created 40K to be very sandboxy, it's plausible. Very, like, yeah, I guess I could see it. But at the same time, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like the Space Marines that I play.
Yeah, like, was it cool? Yeah. Was it awesomely animated? Yeah. It was fan animation, so like knowing what like GW level stuff can be, a lot of fan animators are like, if not at that level, really close.
Yeah. So
like these animations are really badass, and yeah, if that's what you think a Space Marine versus a Drukhari battle would work out, it 100% could.
And those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. If we didn't get to your question, please ask again, and we will answer it in the next episode. Thank you guys so much for supporting us on Patreon and everything. Don't forget, you can win a Land Raider.
So again, guys, thanks for all the support, liking, commenting, sharing, checking us out on the original One Mind Syndicate page or here on the For the Greater War. And this has been The Sound Alchemist.
Gershwin.
And we are out.